We're here tonight to talk about South Coast Rail, the Fall River New Bedford line that launched back on March 24th. Before we get into everything, I'd like to ask Representative Fiola and Mayor Coogan to come up and perhaps welcome us to this great city.
Obviously, I want to thank the MBTA, Representative Fiola and Gene Fox, Phil Eng, the general manager, and the whole crew at the MBTA for coming down to hear people's concerns and let people have an opportunity to tell them firsthand some of the things they see. I'm hoping it's both good and bad, but we're extremely glad you're here tonight, and I think it's the best thing to do is get this show on the road. And thanks everybody for coming out. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to welcome you all as well. We launched on March 24th. You'll have a very brief presentation tonight on the screen by the MBTA, and I too would like to thank them for accepting the invitation to come down here. They're down in force because they care, and Keolis is here as well. Two separate organizations, as you know. Keolis has the contract to run the system, and MBTA is the overall constructor, and it's been difficult for many of you, I know that. We get the calls, and we're here today because of that, and we'll be back again because of that. South Coast Rail, as you all know, we waited for 35 years. It is a good thing, it's working. It has come with some disruptions to people, very real ones. It kind of divided up into noise and scheduling and layover station. So those are the three main topics that myself and my office have been fielding, and I know Gene, who's been a constant. Gene has been with us from the beginning talking about this as long as I've been in professional life. So without further ado, I would just ask you to be patient tonight. Everyone will be heard. They want to hear what you have to say. There will be no very quick solutions tonight. Tonight, everyone will take back your concerns because you're talking to the top. And it's very, very important that you do so. So without further ado from me, I would like to introduce, am I doing that now? Am I doing that now? He said I should. Yeah. I would like to introduce to you the main man from MBTA. And while we have frustrations and concerns, he is being heralded throughout not only the state but the country for having an ability to cut through issues and try to figure them out. And I'm very proud that Phil Eng, the general manager at MBTA, has answered every one of my calls. He has answered every one of my calls that you have in turn given to me. He's answered every one of my Zooms, and was very ready and willing and eager to come down here with his team, who he'll introduce, to hear from you and give you a brief update before you do so. So I want to thank you all for showing up. That's what we do. And so thank you very much, and I appreciate it. And I'd like to introduce Phil Eng. Phil, thank you for being here.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Raphael and Mayor Coogan. Wanted to make sure, first and foremost, as the rep just said, thank you for all of you to take time to come here tonight and discuss with us, hear some updates, but also have that two-way communication that's so invaluable to us to being able to give you the level of service you deserve, and also address any concerns that you have, as the rep mentioned. You know, we committed to, in the beginning, what was it, a year and a half or so ago, coming down and not only having just that first meeting with regards to the status of the construction project, but this is a long-term relationship with the people that want to use our service, but also the communities that live adjacent to our system. And we know that's a relationship that is forever, and we are committed to really working together and hearing things that you want to share with us, both positive and concerns. We're going to give an update tonight with regards to some of the things that we've done to address the things that we're already aware of. We want to give an update as well with regards to the both weekday and weekend service and our ability to continue to deliver it. I do want to say that when we launched service in March, it was following what we believe is the right thing to do with robust all-day, weekend, weekday service that we've seen across all other lines that has given people the freedom to use mass transportation as one of the alternatives of travel. And I know we've had some challenges, but I also know that there are many folks who have had a chance to use the South Coast Rail and the MBTA rail to visit places that perhaps they have not been able to use mass transportation for. It's been for pleasure, it's been for work, it's been for doctor's appointments and schools and even types of things where perhaps never would have thought of taking the trains. Having said that, we appreciate everyone being here tonight. My team is here. We will be here the whole evening, and we're going to go through the presentation to share the updates, but also really welcome the ability for hearing those things that you want to bring to our attention. And we will assure you that this is not the last of our conversations, because we do want to come back and make sure that we have a chance to see what solutions we can bring that can address some of those concerns sooner rather than later. So I think with that, I'm going to turn it back to Gene Fox, and let's get the presentation going, because I think you really want to be able to share your thoughts with us as well. Thank you.
Thank you. If I could, we do have our colleagues from Keolis here, and there's a mic up there. If you could just introduce yourselves to the folks here, that would be wonderful. Adela, yeah, right up there. Thank you. It's a face you need to know now, people.
Good afternoon. I'm Abdel Ashara. I am the CEO for Keolis, so we operate the commuter rail for the MBTA. Thank you.
Anyone else?
So I will introduce. Yeah?
Yes, I think it would be nice for people to put a face and a name to our operator.
Hi, good evening. My name is Carrie Woods. I am the Director of Operational Safety for Keolis.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Messenger. I am the Route Manager for South Coast Rail Fall River New Bedford lines.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? We appreciate your presence here this evening. Thank you for coming down. Hot day, long drive, but you're here. Thank you so much. I also want to recognize, before we launch the presentation, Rep. Willett. I think I saw you. Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Thank you. And City Councilor Linda Pereira. Where are you, Linda? Oh, hi. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Well, with that, we're going to start the presentation. Ryan's probably going to do most of the talking. This is Ryan Caholen. You want to introduce yourself, Ryan? I think they know you, but...
Sure. So good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Caholen. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the MBTA. So tonight we're going to talk about a few specific items. On the agenda, we're going to talk about an update on the service. We're going to talk about train horns, quiet zones, vibration and noise mitigation. There'll be a Q&A period, and then we'll talk about next steps leaving this evening. So South Coast Rail in Bedford Fall River has become part of the existing Middleborough service, connecting the South Coast region to Boston and all of the rest of the MBTA network. Services run for approximately 10 weeks. Now, weeks 1, 2, we did operate 99% of the service. Weeks 3, 98% of the service. But we did see that some trips were canceled due to crew availability. Now, as we built out the service, designed the schedules, knowing that South Coast Rail has to interoperate with the existing Kingston service, Greenbush service, and Dodge trains essentially all the way into Boston. We totally expect, not just with South Coast Rail, but any new start system, that we will have to consistently monitor and make adjustments to fine-tune the schedule, to alleviate train delays, and obviously any scheduling issues. Knowing that we did see some cancellations in week 3, working with Keolis, we did proactively broadcast that we would be substituting a lot of rail service with bus service. Now, as we built through the weekend of week 4, we were able to return a lot of those trips back to rail, which again, I think is a testament to the commitment. We worked, the team that you heard from earlier, we worked around the clock to staff those trains to make sure that we could provide service by rail. But I do want to acknowledge the efforts that happened behind the scene where we wanted to make sure that nobody was left behind. That last train in, we wanted to make sure that folks got back home. Since week 4, going into week 5 and on through week 10, we've operated all of the planned scheduled service. Now, there are some trips that have been terminated. We'll talk through that a little later. Because like I said, it is a very long trip by rail between Boston and New Bedford Fall River. Just imagine that drive down 93 to Route 24, and there's a lot of outside influence. Talked about the trains that were canceled. Week 4, again, we proactively canceled 16 trains, but we were able to return a lot of those back. And since then, we've been able to continue qualifying conductors and engineers. It's a very vigorous qualification process, literally learning the territory, right down to drawing a detailed map of that track. Every curve, every bridge, every crossing, every signal, our conductors and engineers have to be able to memorize and demonstrate their knowledge of the system. As I mentioned, we move into weeks 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We were able to operate and deliver all service. The MBTA's commuter rail network, so we probably operate a regular 94% on-time performance. And that's a really good place to be across the country. That's very in line, and in some cases better than our peer agencies. The South Coast Rail Service in particular, currently operating at 79% this past weekend. We have seen some spikes upwards of 87%, which is a decent place to be. But like I said earlier, we fully know that we're going to have to fine-tune how these schedules interoperate with other existing services. We are the 5th largest commuter rail operation in the country, operating well over 500 trains a day, and most of that service, 2/3 of it operates between South Station and all points south and west. Talked about that long trip. Now, the map doesn't quite do it justice, obviously not to scale, but that run from South Station down to Fall River, there's a lot that can happen in between. The track between Boston and Braintree is predominantly single track. There's one place to pass. So if we have a mechanical issue for a train, say, bound for Situate, right, it would be tough to understand why there'd be an impact to Fall River. But when that train has an issue on that single track, and there is no equipment in Fall River to run that return trip, it's very challenging to run that trip down a single track with a broken down train in front of it. Highways, you can switch lanes. We don't have that luxury. So this is why I think it speaks to how we evolve the schedule, how we fine-tune the schedule, and that is always a work in progress. Not just for new start services, but we do this across the entire commuter rail network twice a year. So train horns. I know a lot of folks have voiced their concerns about train horns. The use of train horns is regulated by the Federal Railroad Administration. It's not an MBTA decision. There's been a lot of experiments based on quiet zones. And we'll talk a little bit about quiet zones. But essentially, during the 1970s and 80s, a federal study found an increase in nighttime collisions. And in response, Congress directed the FRA to regulate the use of train horns. In 2005, there was a final rule issued requiring trains to sound their horn at all public crossings. Quiet zones. Anyone has Googled quiet zones or train horns, this is a topic that does come up. Just to be very clear, quiet zones are established between the municipality and the Federal Railroad Administration. It is not a decision that the MBTA can grant or deny. And we have a history across our system of working with communities. We certainly will not impede the municipality's wish to establish a quiet zone. It's a very detailed process. Typically starts with a grade crossing diagnostic. And what that does is assess that specific crossing. It looks at traffic flows. It looks at train traffic. It looks at roadway layout. And then from there, a list of SSMs or supplemental safety measures gets developed to help establish a quiet zone. Once all that's been satisfied, the Federal Railroad Administration has the final say. They will notify the railroad that we can stop blowing the horn. But I do want to be very clear. A quiet zone is a quiet zone. It is not a silent zone. Because we have some municipalities that have established quiet zones, and lo and behold, the train will sound the horn.
1 a.m. should always be a quiet zone.
The train will still sound its horn when it's passing down the train, when the engineer sees any emergency or a dangerous situation, or when they're passing workers on the right of way. Those are also federal requirements. A little bit about vibration and noise mitigation. Not too many railroads in Massachusetts have been built to this standard. And when South Coast Rail was developed, it was a different day and age. It wasn't the turn of the century where you just went in and laid tracks. So we were able to use a lot of proven formulas in engineering best practices when we built the South Coast Rail territory. Things like continuous welded rail to cut down on the clickety-clack, the pounding of trains going by. It offers a silent, more resilient ride experience, reduces the vibration versus a joint in the rail every 39 feet. Part of the final environmental impact report dictated locations where we would install ballast mats, which is a vibration absorbing membrane between the rail and the subgrade to help absorb some of that. We also had a noise mitigation program available to folks, where folks would receive up to $5,000 per decibel of noise impact with a $30,000 cap. To date, just under $2 million have been awarded in mitigation funds to 88 participating homeowners. Now, just yesterday, Gina and I were talking about how can we keep this going? Because as the project is concluded, the service is here. And by that, we are here. So up on the screen, there is an email address, scrnoise@mbta.com. We confirmed with our IT to transfer that email account over to the MBTA. So if you believe that your property is eligible or may qualify, please contact us through scrnoise@mbta.com. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Chief Fox.
Does that include the railroad station?
We're going to get to Q&A in a little bit, and there's a microphone up here so everybody's question can be heard, okay? And we'll get to everybody, I promise. I just wanted to bring your attention to the blue sign you see up here. You'll see this sign at every grade crossing in the corridor, across the state, across the country. It's an emergency notification sign. It is the best way to get attention, get dispatch, to pay attention to any issue at any grade crossing. If a car stalls in the middle of the grade crossing or someone's stuck on the tracks, whatever you see that could be problematic, the number on that sign and the locator information is the best way to get attention to that crossing. They can stop and protect. That dispatch notifies any train in the area, there's a problem at this location. So I ask people, they're not huge signs, they're really kind of small, but they are blue. That's your first line of defense should you see any kind of incident at a grade crossing. I bring that up, one, because the Federal Railroad Administration and Operation Lifesaver are working very hard to make sure people have this information. You can call 911, but this is the fastest way to get attention to any kind of incident. And June 24th is our National ENS Sign Awareness Day. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Sorry? First annual. So this is a big deal. So you can say you know about the ENS signs. And with that, we are going to go to questions. We're going to ask that we go in an orderly fashion. Again, we have our general manager, we have our COO, we have our top team from Keolis here with us, and we're really looking forward to hearing from you. Yes, step up to this mic that's up here so everybody can hear. Thank you.
How you doing? My name is Ollie Spears. I live at 2915 North Main Street, and the concerns for my wife and I and our family is the vibration. We're right across the street from the layover station, and we're happy the train's here, but what solutions can we do to mitigate the vibration? I read something that when a train comes to the layover station, it's supposed to be shut off after 2 hours. That's not happening. On Saturday, Sunday, there's 2 trains at the station. They're running all day. 12 o'clock at night, all 4 trains running all night until 2 in the morning. until I fall asleep till 2 in the morning. I wake up at 4 in the morning, so I'm sleeping for 2 hours. So, you know, I know our neighbors are tired of it. It's been 2 months. We're here to get answers, and what's the solution?
The question, and you know, like we talked about earlier, there's not going to be any solution that we come up with tonight that is implemented tomorrow. But I can tell you that between all of the folks, whether it's MBTA railroad operations, whether it's our chief railroad officer Michael Rooks is here tonight, Phil, myself, the Keolis team, there's approximately, I don't want to age you, but there's about 250 years of experience. That now that this is ours, now that we own it, now that we are here, we spend an awful lot of our time at random hours saying, what about this idea? Can we do this? Can we do this? We won't rest until we find a solution that suits everyone.
Yeah, we're up all night.
Okay, we are, the best way to get these questions answered is to come up to the microphone as this gentleman has done and as you did. Excuse me. We're going to do this in an orderly fashion, okay? And if we can't, then it's going to be difficult to be responsive. So if I may, I think the question was answered. The question is, we will be looking at schedules. We're going to continue to do that.
So my question is, if a train comes to the railway station,
Yeah.
it's supposed to shut off after 2 hours.
It is, how do you do, would that be
They
a
don't shut off, they're running all day.
No, I mean, so
So
typically,
go ahead.
yeah, typically when a train comes, it finishes its final run. In this case, it leaves Fall River Depot, goes back to the layover. The crew leaves that set of equipment there, the mechanical folks then board the train, they make sure the train's secured. It's typically an hour to an hour and a half by the time everything is secured properly and shut down. Now, there's a caveat to that, because in some cases, when trains get out to their endpoint, they may need some light maintenance. We don't do any heavy maintenance in a layover, but sometimes there's light maintenance that has to occur in order to get that set of equipment available to run back into Boston in the morning. In some cases, that requires the locomotive to run. But typically, once that train is secured, within the hour, hour and a half, that train is shut down. Typically, the reverse of it should occur, where the locomotive is restarted approximately 1 hour before it's due to depart the layover to go down to Fall River Depot.
I think if, once they come in, after 2 hours, when that train comes at 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock it shuts down the first one. The next train, 2 hours shuts down. At least if one train's running, it'll be less vibration. That's all we're asking for. Shut them down. They're not getting shut down. They're running all night. They're running Saturday and Sunday during the day. They're not being shut down. So who's at the station monitoring that? Nobody's monitoring it. We're vibrating all day. All we hear is all freaking day.
So Keolis, the company that operates that layover for us, they're here. They're hearing you just like we're hearing you. We will work with Keolis.
Bring them up. Let's talk to them. When there's a shutdown, 2 hours, let's bring them up.
I actually have some answers to that question.
Well, let me just, I'll let you do your question, but I just want to say one thing.
Which I take from college.
We certainly have heard these concerns before we got here, and we know we're hearing them right now. As Ryan mentioned, we have ideas that we're still brainstorming. We will be coming back with ideas on how to mitigate noise, vibration, and we just need a little more time to review that. I understand you said it's been 2 months of this, but at the same time, we want to make sure if we implement something that we can actually mitigate what you're looking for, right? I could come here and say all these different things, do something, and maybe it won't work. I need to make sure.
If you implement the 2 hours now, that can be done now. That's your policy, though. If that's your policy, after 2 hours, if it's not, I guess if it's down to 10 degrees or whatever, after 2 hours, that train should shut down.
We will sit down with our operator with regards to train schedules, train operations, maintenance. Certainly understand the concerns that you're raising, sir. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here and taking our questions. A few questions about, again, Weavis Cove, and Ali is one of my neighbors, lives down the street from me, and I share his concerns. I was told the train was going to idle for 1 hour and then be shut down. That definitely isn't happening, whether it's during the day, at night, doesn't matter. My questions has to do with the requirements, because what I've been told is train comes in, they have to do their federally mandated daily inspections, which I understand. So the train comes in, sits there for an hour. They don't shut it down because now the mechanics show up. I'm not sure. Keels, can you answer what time the mechanical forces arrive at Weaver's Cove? Yeah, that's what I thought. So we'll say 8 o'clock. Just because the first train arrives roughly 8 o'clock, right around 8 o'clock. So hopefully they already have mechanical on site, waiting for the train, getting ready to blue signals, secure the equipment. So the train would idle for an hour. They go through, they secure the equipment, and then, according to Keolis's media relations rep, it takes approximately 2 hours to complete a daily inspection. So, approximately. I mean, they're doing the 238 inspection on the train, you got the 229 inspection on the locomotive, 236 doing all your cap signal access. So we're up to 3 hours. Now, they're not all working on this at the same time. You have different crews that come in. Machinist comes in, he does his locomotive. You'll have the electrician come in, they do all of their safety systems, all the electronic train control. Conduit comes in, they take care of the cab car, they do their daily inspection on the train. We're saying it takes 2 hours for us to complete all of this. That train could potentially be idling for another hour before we shut it down. We have approximately 5 trains in the yard at night, idling for 4 hours, and then we have to start it up an extra hour. Essentially, they don't get shut down. Now, one of the things that was brought up this winter, I questioned one of the trains that was, it was a cold night, train came into the yard and it was running on HEP, head and power, sorry. And I questioned why it was on head and power. It was stationed or positioned at the ground power station. And yet, the engine's running at a high idle. I'm told, no, they're supposed to shut it down. It's sitting in the yard, it's at the ground power station, plug it in. So the answer that I received was, we have to keep it running because of the cold temperatures. Well, you don't have to keep it on HEP. You can plug the train into ground power and have it on a low idle to run it through the winter. And I know this because I do this. Again, trust me, I know. I've been. We won't get into that. So we're running trains again all night long. We're not shutting them down. We're not doing what we were promised through both the MBTA, South Coast Rail, and our local representatives. They were told, oh, it's going to be an hour, don't worry about it, it'll be quiet. It's not. I talked to Paul. Paul said, yeah, no problem. We're going to call Jeannie. We're going to make sure that this is the rule. And we were told, yes, it was. But we didn't hear the rule behind the rule. So it's 1 hour except if we have to do FRA inspections. So again, it's not an hour, it's 4 hours. An extra hour in idling before it leaves in the pots of the station. 5 hours, 5 trains. Even if the train does get shut down, our neighborhood was relatively quiet, with no noise. I mean, you can hear cars going by, you can hear, but through the night, it was a quiet neighborhood. You shut the train down, if the train gets shut down, you still have 2 AC units per car, I believe, yes? 2 AC units per car running in that yard. 5 trains, 6 cars, 7 cars on each train. It's still that little bit of noise ends up being a lot of noise. During COVID, before the yard was even completed, we had an online meeting, one of the Zoom meetings, and I asked about sound mitigation, and I was told, we have money in the budget for that. Well, why didn't we look into that prior to opening the yard? We had the opportunity to build something, and from what I see now, we're using the weeds, the trees, the high grass that's probably up to my knees as sound mitigation, and it's completely unacceptable. Did anyone happen to drive by the yard on their way here?
Nope.
Did you see how much of an eyesore it was?
Nope.
No landscaping, old fence, coming apart. Trash on the street. She doesn't know.
So,
Trash inside that area.
spots of the sidewalk are so overgrown that people won't even walk down there and walk across the street.
Over there. Go check it out. Get the vibration.
Exactly.
How many parking is compared to 65 inside my house?
I heard a young lady speaking about, before the meeting started, she was speaking about the sound levels, the decibel levels. And she's gonna bring it up, so I don't want to bring it up, with the exception of where I live. It was 56 decibels on my porch and louder in my house. As far as the vibrations, when the train goes by, we're hearing, and this comes down to train maintenance, I'm not sure what standards you're running for flat spots. Sounds like the FRA maximum or minimum at 2.5 inches. Brand new rail is getting beat to hell because we're not pulling those cars out. So I don't know if it's, well, we're doing the inspections at midnight and it's kind of dark, we're using flashlights we can't see. That could be the case. If that's the case, why aren't we doing the inspections, the daily inspections at any time? 238 says, CFR 49-238 says that the daily inspection has to be completed once a day, that the train continues in service, operates or continues in service. It doesn't mean it has to be done at midnight. It can be done anytime. I've seen train inspections getting done at Southampton Street, the front yard, Somerville, all of these other locations where we bring trains during the day and we do daily inspections on them. Why do we have to get stuck with these being inspected in the middle of the night? I'm done.
Yes, I'm good. Okay. Oh, good evening. And thank you for this meeting. And you're going to hear some themes repeated. I'm here to speak specifically about my problem, which is diesel engine noise occurring in the middle of the night during sleeping hours. This noise from Weaver's Cove occurs unpredictably. It can go on for hours, sometimes all night, and at varying levels of noise. This continuous or episodic noise is harmful. It's harmful to my health, to my sleep, to my ability to work, and to the value of my home. The people who designed Weaver's Cove know exactly how much noise these trains generate. Yet, they place this layover facility in a residential area with what seems to be absolutely no protective measures to reduce, at the very least, nighttime noise. I live on North Main Street, directly across from Weaver's Cove. There is nothing between my home and the trains except a bare wire mesh fence. No foliage, no trees. Even though there are well-known environmental strategies that can reduce noise. The World Health Organization states that nighttime noise from trains should not exceed 44 decibels to protect human health. I have a decibel meter. I have measured sound averaging 65 to 75 decibels in the middle of the night. Recently, I recorded sound levels at 1 a.m. over 100 decibels. Now, sleep is essential to human health. we hardly need to argue this. The original plan, I believe it was in 2020, stated that nighttime noise would be minimal. Trains would be plugged in, not idling. I was told that diesel idling would happen only when temperatures are below 10 degrees. Yet, I have measured diesel engine idling continuously when nighttime temperatures were 50 degrees. I'm not here tonight because this disruption of my sleep is merely an inconvenience. I'm not here because this disruption is merely a frustration. This level of noise is an active injury to my health, to my work, and to my home. This is also, and this is an important point, a disproportionate burden on all of us who live in the perimeter of the layover facility. It's not fair, and it's not right. And so what I want to know, and I know we're all working on this, what steps will be taken to reduce nighttime noise? At least let us sleep. Why does engine diesel idling noise occur unpredictably? Some nights are very loud, some nights are quieter. What accounts for this? Could we be informed? I want to know, why is what sounds like major maintenance being done during sleeping hours? So please hear me, please hear my neighbors, and let's get on to action. Thank you.
Good evening. I don't know if you wanted to address anything, but okay, I'll just go ahead. Well, good evening, and I certainly appreciate the time you guys spent in coming to talk to our community. And I understand that this is, I don't envy your positions. I know oftentimes there's a theoretical reality regarding an issue. There's also an empirical reality. And those things typically never meet each other in the middle. And especially for a project this large. And so while I was very excited to hear about the project and the fact that they were finally going to be train service in Fall River, I applauded the project, and I still do. But I do understand that there's work that needs to be done, and for something this massive, there's going to be trial and error, and then eventually, hopefully, MBTA and Keolis will be working until things sort of get correct. And I expect that to happen over time, not overnight. But I do have two quick questions, and you probably have two quick answers. One is about heating. So if you're at the East Taunton station now and your train has been delayed, it's no big deal. Now over the winter time, that might not be the case. And if it's like sort of 20 degrees outside, 10 degrees outside, below zero outside, and the train is been delayed and you're standing outside for X amount of minutes, I'm wondering if there's any plans, or have there been any talks about heating lamps at East Taunton?
Yeah, I mean, that's a totally reasonable ask. Something that I'll start to look into that tonight to see if we can have something in place for the next winter. I think that's a great suggestion.
Okay, and what sort of really brought my attention to this is I saw an article back in 2024 where the Boston Globe was sort of being critical of where those heating lamps were being placed. With certain communities having heating lamps and certain communities having dysfunctional heating lamps. So this is what brought this to my attention. So hopefully this will happen, because in the winter, a wintertime delay is different from a summertime delay. The other question, I don't know if you guys, I don't know if logistically you could do anything about this, but I do notice that there's more connections from Fall River than New Bedford. And I don't know if logistically, it has to be that way. I'm just wondering, is there any way to even that out so that both communities have to get off the train and wait for the next train? That's all I have.
So just to answer as best I can your last question, it's a proportionate number of trains relatively between New Bedford and Fall River. those trains originally, the original proposed schedule, they essentially went out and they sat. And, you know, the costs involved with staffing a train, maintaining a train, running a train, the schedule that is up there today was developed in line with what we've seen success with the rest of the system, was more frequent service, more transportation options. But again, like I said earlier, those schedules and how they all interact is certainly a work in progress. So your feedback is heard, and something that we can definitely look at. You know, because every person that talks about additional trains is typically a person who says they don't want any additional trains. So it's a very delicate balance, but we'll look at that as well.
Okay, my complaint is, I think it has a very simple solution, should be. But yet, I'm not getting any response, anything back, because I've been complaining about this for several years, so I hope these people do a lot better than what I'm getting. And it's a simple matter of cleaning up the area around where you park those trains, the layover. I've been writing emails, Mr. Eng, I sent you a letter, snail mail, a couple of months ago. Never got an answer, just like the emails. Oh, we'll get back to you, nothing. At the last hearing here, I brought this problem up, and that's kind of the city's problem. Never got a response. You get a crew down there for a day or two, you could clean up the mess along that sidewalk. I walk along the city all the time, and I'm proud of the city. The mayor and Representative Fiola are doing a good job to try to lift up this city. But that's a dump down there. There's no reason. There's a chain link fence. You've just, how many miles of right-of-way fencing all along it? You've got a fence there that 50 years ago, I think, was the garage for the telephone company, and it's still there, and it's falling apart, and it looks like hell. There's weeds on the sidewalk, there's trash, sand up against the fence. Now, since I was a kid, my father would get me out, you get out there and clean up the front of the house, property. I was always taught that way. Sweep up the sand. Any trash that's there, keep it up. But you people have this property, and you're not doing it. I saw a lady down there the other day. I guess it was a neighbor. She was going along, had a bag picking up trash, and it's just a darn dump down there. And I suggest you all leaving, go back to Boston, go right on North Main Street, go right by it, and you'll see what I mean. Simple request. Shouldn't take much money at all to clean that mess up. Thank you.
No, thank you. I think you're referring to that wrought iron fence that was part of the orphanage of St. Vincent's. I think that's correct. So that, because of its history, we didn't take down, but it doesn't belong to the, if it were to come down, it would be chain link fence. And there is that one section you mentioned that is that old chain link, and had many conversations with the city on seeing if they could find some more wrought iron to replace that segment. It's actually two sections. Yeah.
Somebody painted it.
Yes, that was the sheriff's.
I think somebody volunteered.
It was.
I'm talking about green marker entrance.
Yeah.
You've got some nice black chain link fence there, and in front of it, it looks like hell. It's trash.
You're talking about trash and debris?
Trash and debris.
Okay.
Yes. Chain link fence. And like I say, it's up against the fence, and you get some shovels, weed whackers, whatever it is. Clean that whole thing up in no time at all.
No, we hear you, sir, and we will look into it.
And nobody's ever gonna think about it.
Appreciate you taking the time to share that. We will look into that, I assure you.
Hi, I just have a couple of questions to ask you. Now, they were saying about it being like that at the T station there, all messed up with the weed whack thing and that. I think it's the city of Fall River that is supposed to be cleaning that up. Because in Boston, they clean it up. The MBTA station doesn't clean it up, South Station. That's what they do in Boston. I think it's the city of Fall River is supposed to clean it up, and the trains just work in Boston. And also, the trains, Are they gonna be running all of them now, may I ask? Because I take the very first 505 out, and I either take the 7:30, if not the 10 o'clock coming back from college.
Yeah, so we've been able to operate the full schedule, weekdays and weekends in particular over the last 5 weeks, so.
Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Shanae Elmira-Domer. I live directly across from your guys' station. So everything everybody is saying out here, I can tell you, I'm just like, I don't need to say anything about half of that. But what I haven't heard yet is there any way that you guys can train your guys to not hooty hoot the hoot when you have to? Like the toot the train? There has been multiple times, it's not a little hoot. It'll be like, hoot, in the middle of the night. It is 1 a.m. And then they do it again about 3. Now, imagine if you will, you work in Boston, okay? You have to get up there and you think the train is gonna be great. You have to be to work by 8 o'clock. The trains start to not be reliable, especially in the morning. So you decide that you have to drive. Okay, well, you've got no choice. But you try to go to bed about, I'd say 8 o'clock. My husband goes to bed about 8 o'clock at night. And he has to go to bed that early. And he gets home probably about 7. But he goes to bed right after eating, because if he doesn't get enough sleep. Because he's being woken up by the trains right across the street, with the horns mostly. Now, I have put sound paneling up in our bedrooms. We have increased the insulation in our home. I have done probably $30,000 worth of work to my house in order to make it livable. But there are still times that inside my room, it is 65 decibels. It's too loud. And even if I could sleep through that, I hear the hoot, and not a little tiny hoot, but sometimes it's a little playful, and it's annoying. And, well, how do you sleep through that? And then you try to go back to sleep, and then they start it up again. And he usually, I can't tell you how many times we've talked on the phone, and he's been like, honey, I don't even remember driving into work. I was that tired this morning. Things have got to change. And I know you guys want to, but I really know all of us want to be heard. We want you guys to know that we're not just being whiny. A lot of us are trying to make do. We're trying to make sure that we can make it through this. But every step we take on our end to try to just live with it feels like it's another step you guys take back into, being a problem. The trash outside the fence may be of debate. Inside the fence is not up to debate as to what needs to be cleaned. And I have river rats running up there because no one's taking care. I don't think do you guys have anyone that's taking care of rats down there for you? Do you have an exterminator? Anyone who goes around, do you have plans for that? Because if I had anything I really wanted to complain about, it would be the river rats. I'm sick of them.
Sure. So, Dan,
the vibrations will send them up. But if you guys are trying to do your part on that end of the fence, and we're trying to do our end on the other side of the fence, then we're both combating them. And I mean, some of us have small animals that, rats are a problem for. So, I mean,
two
some of my complaints there were the horns. Can you please tell you guys, be smart about the horn. You're in a residential area. Don't get playful. Is there any way we can do that? That's one. And then the other one is the rats. Those are the two things I want.
So we're talking about rats first. So every layover we operate across the Commonwealth has a rodent mitigation plan. So it's tough to see from North Main Street, but there are rat traps at every corner. I forget what the actual interval between, but that's been a practice that we've used at other layovers with huge success.
At the maintenance site too? Do you have them there?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and as far as horns, so just to be clear, the days of feathering a horn, all of our locomotives in the industry standard horns today, it's an on-off switch. So you can't just pull the lever a little bit. When I started to
I'll record it next time because it's a toot 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 toot. It's not a toot.
So if there is any time there's something that is egregious like that, if we know about it, we can follow up on it.
Okay.
Right? So
Follow up.
I'm going to ask the team to go back and sample because every locomotive records every time a control is activated, and if we find
There was one last
anomalies,
night.
what's that?
There was one last night.
We'll start to look into that when we leave here.
Okay. That was it.
And then, ma'am, before you walk away, ma'am, I would strongly encourage you, you talked about a lot of the mitigation that you deployed in your own residence. Please reach out to scrnoise@mbta.com.
We also have on the sign-in sheet, so we can get back to individuals, regarding the rodent infestation or mitigation. We're going to take a look at, even though we have it in place, I'll take a look to make sure if we need additional measures or what we can do. I've seen this in many places, whether it's construction projects or my days in New York City Transit. I understand where these can come, and there's always things that we could look at, how we could be more, I guess, aggressive with regards to the treatments and abatement of eliminating that issue.
Just so you guys know, it's not regular size rats, so regular bee stations don't work. We're talking big.
When we did the initial clearing all those years ago, we had, some of you probably experienced that, but we had rats everywhere. So we were aggressive then, but as the GM's just said, it's probably time to take another look. I know those river rats. They swim, they come all the way to my house in Asona. Seen them, don't like them. We're going to look at that. Thank you for raising that issue.
Well, I sent the email. I never got a response back. I sent the email on March 24th, followed up a week later, never got a response back, so I don't know.
And customer support?
Yeah, customer support, I got a response back, like, we'll get back to you. What an incident number. I'm still waiting.
If you'll come see me at the end, if you have time.
Oh, I CC'd you too.
You CC'd me?
Yeah.
So I should have it somewhere. And I didn't respond. Not good.
The mayor's office.
Okay, let's connect at the end because I apologize for that. That needs to be fixed. Yep.
South Coast Rail, SCR noise or customer support? Where do we want these people, our constituents, to place an email that they know whether it's rats, whether it's whatever, tooting or whatever it is, to follow up?
Right, excellent. Customer support is for the lion's share of the issues you're raising. So if you see rats, you had a question on something that we didn't respond. That kind of stuff customer support should handle. It's no longer the South Coast Rail program. It is now fully with the MBTA and Keola, so that's the best place to go. However, for noise issues, that scrnoise@mbta.com, ask us talk about the noise, but also you may be eligible for some sort of mitigation.
The other thing, just for
Can you talk about making sure a name, an address, and a phone number, and email, sign up if someone wants follow-up? For example, we have rats. Shawnee said, we have rats. So should she leave her name and address here tonight with someone from the team? I just want to be clear so how they get a follow-up. Yes.
Yes, if you leave your specific information, we will take that out front, which, in addition to what we already have in the sign-in sheet, know that even though we're saying you could send us your information there, we're taking it down now. So our intention is you can follow up by saying I raised this concern, but we are taking that information to make sure that we can look at each and every one of these concerns, and we'll come back with you with things that we can do, things that maybe take longer or more challenging, but the reason we're here is to listen and to make sure that we hear these concerns directly from you.
Hi, my name is Joe LaRuda. I have 2 pieces of property on Oregon Street, and my issue is engine noise, that locomotive
pretty much negated outdoor activity, family functions on my property. They've done a great job with that rail bed. And then we go put a piece of equipment like that locomotive on that track, unbearable when it goes by. Can't maintain the conversation. Pretty embarrassing when you have people over that aren't familiar with that situation. And yet we put a noise mitigation program together, and I question the thinking behind that. Are we supposed to throw our screens away, keep our windows shut, nice spring day, and run an air conditioner? It would seem to me that the answer would be to address the noise. And that, I would think that in the year 2025, that there is an equipment out there that would solve much of these problems. I think you've taken us back in time with that kind of equipment. It's unsightly and absolutely unbearable noise. And if you would care to, I'm at 45 Oregon Street. You're welcome to stop by, stand in my backyard, try and have a conversation, and see what we have to deal with on a daily basis. That the answer is not noise mitigation, closing your doors, your windows, running an AC on a perfectly nice day where a screened window would serve the purpose. I think the answer would be the equipment that you're running on that track needs to be addressed.
Hi. I have a few things. I'm not like the guy that had the information about the train, but I feel the same way that Joe does. There's one train that comes by, it sounds like a layered jet that is coming by your house. It doesn't shake my house, it just sounds like a plane coming at me. Okay, I'm a disability, so I'm home every day. You have your conductors that smoke cigarettes and flick them out the window, and I've seen it. That's gonna cause a fire, okay? You have certain people that are on their phone. I see them, okay? I think that's a problem. It's great that you guys, and I think I talked to you. I think you came to my house with the guy from Boston, right? Yeah, because my yard's caving in, because you guys didn't put up a retaining wall. You guys dug out all those trees along the railroads. And any landscaping thing you do, you put up a retaining wall to keep things from sliding. My whole backyard is cracked. You thought it was bad when you guys came, you could come see it now. 49 Marty Street. I live right on the track. I'm at that pitch where it turns a little bit, okay? Listen, your 6-foot fence, your stupid fabric, look, they didn't put 6-foot fences up 6 feet. It's where, it's 6 feet, but it's not. If you look all down the railroad, 6 foot, 5 foot, 4, 3, 4, that's not 6 feet. It doesn't even cover the train. Your little fabric, little trees, and then wants to spend all this money that we don't have on air conditioning. I have a horsehair plaster house. It doesn't matter what you do. They're still gonna come through. I can't afford to move. That's a family home. That's been in for generations. I'm not moving from there because you guys didn't think that through. That's crazy to me. And it's crazy that nobody got back about our yard caving in. That's the messed up thing, okay? That's what I'm mad about. Who do we talk to about that? Who?
We did send the engineer out there and he couldn't find any real reason, but I know what you're talking about. We also pulled up the pre-construction survey, and you already had some erosion there from what Lou
You had some erosion, but it got worse. We already talked about that day.
Yeah.
It's gotten worse since then. There's a huge crack along the fencing.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys came and dug trees out of there and didn't put anything up. It's a pitch there.
I remember going across to the cemetery and looking the other way. That I remember doing, and the engineer, the report I got was that there was really no,
How did he see that with all that vegetation up on the hill?
he went down into the right of way.
Oh, listen,
Well, we'll take another look, yeah.
it would be nice because my road, my whole backyard is gonna collapse into the back thing.
Yeah, no, we can
That's
definitely.
ridiculous.
We'll definitely take another look. We have your information.
You should. You came to my house.
Could you just repeat the address? I'm sorry.
49 Murray Street.
Murray, 49 Murray. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm talking about 49 Murray Street too. That's my fiance. So, like Joe said, when that train comes by, I don't know why it's idling so high. When it goes into the station, it's quieted down. But when it's coming back out of the station, it's like a jet. It's like a jet coming by all times of the night. I go to sleep at 12 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, it's back doing it again. What? Make some kind of solution. You know, it might not happen tonight, but somebody's got to do something.
And one of the trains seems like it's gonna break down. Because the way it sounds. You have all these other trains that seem to be quieter, and you have this one train that's mad loud.
Yeah.
For no reason.
It's
obnoxious. Come to my house. Come stay at my house.
And also,
Go ahead.
I heard one of the trains idle down coming out of the station. It was quiet. So I don't know why y'all got to keep coming out of the station full blast. I don't understand it. That is so much aggravation. And smelling diesel all the way.
Right.
Just smelling diesel all day. I can't sit out in my yard.
That train, the top of the train looks like there might have been a fire or something at one point. It's all black. So all the people looking on the top, I see it.
Listen, and also she's talking about the fence. So I try to put fabric at the bottom of the fence to keep the grass and stuff in on my side. They didn't put nothing in.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's no retaining wall.
Yeah.
So you have to look at that. But just the noise, that is so aggravating. That's aggravating. I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to work. I wake up at 4 because the train's flying by. Why am I up 2 hours before I gotta be up? For what? And to satisfy who? It might satisfy y'all because y'all making money off this, but it's not satisfying me. It's aggravation. So please, somebody get together, whoever you gotta get with these people, them people, put your heads together because nobody didn't think about this. Oh, I'm happy the train came to Fall River, but it's not working. It's not working. People complaining.
Right.
I drive down North Main Street, I see all the trash and everything at that station. You know? Yeah, it was a big thing to have a train, but y'all ain't taking care of it. Now we gotta have these meetings and discussions. We shouldn't even have to have this. Y'all should have been on point. So somebody dropped the ball. I don't know who dropped the ball, but somebody did, and somebody's pockets got fat. And I know that.
Well, I really appreciate your comments. In fact, I think that we've gotten an awful lot out of this commentary. Some of this we knew coming in. Just a second, Jean. She has my name. But it is good to hear from specific addresses. I do remember going to your home.
Yeah. Please come by again.
And we are going to absolutely look at that. And we have the issues with the noise, the horns. I think we've explained. But we also have indicated that we'll be looking at ridership schedules, things like that. Nothing can be done tomorrow, but everybody's input is really important to helping make future decisions. So this thing that we waited 35 years to get works for everybody.
But listen, it don't work for me when it's coming by my house.
No, I hear you, and that's been duly noted. I promise you that we're going to be talking with our colleagues at Keolis at length. The general manager and Ryan have been on top of this from the first weekend.
So
we're going to continue.
What are we talking about? Like a month, 2 months, 3 months? That's what I want to know. Yeah, I need y'all to get back to me and tell me something. I need to know. So that's aggravating. You can come to my house and sit in my yard and hear come on. For what? What reasons? I'm tired. I'm tired. I can't even go to sleep at night. 12 o'clock at night, it's like a fucking train, a plane coming through my house. Come on, man.
So again, tonight we're here to listen. Now we we have some examples already on this territory where we've had a meeting like this.
I don't want you to sell me a dream. Listen, don't sell me.
So, look, I'm not gonna sell you talk.
Yeah,
I have
don't tell me that.
proven success with other communities along this same right-of-way, where we had a discussion like this, and within 6 weeks, we resolved the train horn issues at 2 crossings.
Okay.
Right? But it was a collaboration.
Okay.
It was a partnership.
All right.
That's why we're here tonight.
So I'm looking for a partnership. I don't know who do I gotta contact, what I gotta do.
We're here.
All right, so right after this meeting, I will be talking to y'all, we exchange information. Okay, sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, I'm with that.
Can we have a timeline? Like, when's the
Can
next
we also
meeting?
add some more streets that are noise barrier solution? St. James Street, Garside Street, Ronell Street, it sounds like there's earthquake coming with our backyard is the train.
Yes.
Going right through my yard. There has to be something done with vibrations that are putting cracks in our walls.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm pretty familiar with this rail line. I used to run freight trains down here before South Coast Rail. We're gonna start essentially at the first street. I know the exact area you're talking about. We're gonna work right down to Weaver's Cove, and I'll continue beyond that. And we'll look at what mitigations we can do between the railroad and the backsides of those properties.
No, that'd be good.
So, so let me just,
Because they're not like they were in the 60s and the 70s where they were a lot louder.
so,
I am used to that.
can I just, I mean, since you're all here and we all do want to work together and you are here to answer questions. And so I want to actually more specifically ask the question, I would like you to educate us. What environmental mitigation strategies are available, that are known to be available, that are not yet implemented, that can be implemented? So that's one question. Tell us, you're trained people. You know what can be done, right? Tell us what can be done. That's one question.
What will be done, not what can be, what will be done.
What will be done, right. And then, yeah. So the next, I really like this answer tonight, because I said you are all experts, although you don't live in the perimeter of this layover station. Right. So my next question is, having the knowledge and expertise that you all have, careers, you've spent your entire careers doing this, why haven't environmental noise mitigation factors been included in the design and already put up? I'd just like an answer to that tonight. I mean, because it hasn't been done yet.
So a little bit about mitigations that I've seen work successfully over a 30-year career. Right, we've talked about sound walls. Sound walls have pros and cons. Sound will be there on the other side of the wall, and typically sound will find its way up the wall. There is an example of a sound wall mitigation at the layover in Situate, in the Greenbush line. That is roughly a 30-foot tall concrete block wall. Now, over the years, vegetation has grown alongside of it. It's not quite as noticeable. But after a similar discussion like this in that part of the Commonwealth, once we built the wall to cure one problem, we had years of more issues with the unsightliness of a concrete block wall. Right, so every solution, there's pros and there's cons. Some solutions for noise mitigation include earthen berms. In a lot of cases, evergreen trees are a great natural vegetation barrier. They need a good soil to go into, which is often a problem along a rail bed that's been there for 100+ years, because it's lots of rock, not a lot of organic material. Because organic material impacts the actual track structure. Causes water to be retained, causes ties to rock, causes rail to wear. So there's pros and cons for all of those mitigations. The actual construction, the design, I was not in the role that I'm in now when that was done, so I can't speak to that. I wish I could, but I cannot.
Ryan, how many layover stations are in the residential neighborhood in Massachusetts during the year?
Fall River.
Off the top of my head, 6.
Where?
We have Situate.
Situate is not residential.
It's heavily residential. North Driftway Road. You can look it up.
What else?
Franklin, Needham, Middleborough on the cusp of residential. Reedville, one of our largest maintenance facilities, is right in the middle of Hyde Park. So there's a lot of examples. Bradford, Rockport. Rockport is literally in downtown Rockport. So we have a lot of examples of layovers in residential areas.
And so they all been mitigated, they had noise mitigation before their...
We have layovers like I described in Situate, and we have layovers that look exactly like Weaver's Cove.
Hi, I live at 2855 North Main Street, and this is not the beginning of the problem. The beginning of the problem was with construction. When all of the trees were taken out, dump trucks, 3 a.m. in the morning, the horn going, the siren for the back of the dump truck hitting and then dumping dirt, could not use my deck for 2 entire summers. No dirt barriers were put up. Everything on my property was covered with dirt, and then we have this. So this has been 3 years, and there's nobody that wants to do anything about it. And I appreciate you being here, I really do, but we can't sleep at night. It's beyond frustrating. And my property value has gone down because of this. Who is going to want to buy my house?
I think we are here because we want to do something about it.
And I appreciate that, and I hope that you do, because we cannot do this.
This is not the last that you'll see of our faces. And there's a lot of discussion about did we drive to the layover. I was in town at 4 o'clock. I drove to every station between East Taunton and Fall River Depot. I went through the layover. I agree with you. There's a lot of improvement that could be had there, and we're going to have those conversations.
But all night long, these trains are running. We cannot sleep. The diesel fuel, I can't even leave my patio doors open because the fuel is making me nauseous. So how are we supposed to live like this? Nobody thought this through. It was a quiet residential area, and you came in and disrupted all of our lives.
My name is Matt Allen. I live in Freetown. I represent Freetown. I think Freetown has an interesting and kind of maybe unique, in this region anyway, we have 2 tracks that go through the town in both places with multiple crossings. So I live close to the New Bedford line. I'm about a half mile away from the crossing. The tracks, I think, are about 1,200 feet from my house. And the inconsistency is weird for me because sometimes the train will go by, I just hear it. It's no big deal. Other times, my house shakes. I don't know why. I have no idea why that is. Sometimes in the middle of the night, I'll hear the horn, it sounds light. And then other times, it's like in my bedroom with me. I don't know, I've heard that they're automated. The horns are automated, so when you get to a certain crossing, they just go off by themselves. But they're completely inconsistent. I swear I've heard them go through the crossing with no horn. I've heard that, which is bizarre. And it seems to me that because this is such an important issue for people, this mass transit and getting traffic off of 24 is such a major issue, we have to be able to do 2 things at once. You have to be able to have the mass transit and also not impact the lives of people that live around it. And it seems to me that if every time I talk about a quiet crossing, I get hands up in the air. Even this presentation tonight was like, good luck with that. I don't know why it's good luck with that. Why wasn't it done when it was constructed? I don't understand. Our elected representatives are here. Some of them, my state rep is here. I know my state senator is not. I don't think he's here. Senator Roberts. I believe he's on the Appropriations Committee. The town has to come up with $1 million per crossing, is what everybody says? Really? Why? Why is it $1 million for the town? That's what I've heard. Every time I hear it's $1 million per crossing, I'd love to say it's not. Poor people in Freetown on the other line, the Fall River line, there's probably a 5 to 10, I don't even know the exact number, maybe 5 or 6 crossings within a mile. So that horn, I hear it in the morning when I'm walking my dog, 5 a.m., that horn's going off for like 1.5 minutes straight. And that's what, 15 times a day? All day. I mean, that's unbelievable. That is torture. And so it seems to me that, and I hate to get this political, but it aggravates me. We used to have money, tens of millions of dollars a month, to put people up in hotels that don't belong here. But God forbid we can come up with a couple $1 million for the town of Freetown, or Lakeville, or Fall River, or New Bedford to put in quiet costs. Our street reps are here. What are they doing? Where's our federal delegation? Why isn't Representative Jake Auchincloss here tonight? He could be down here talking about actually working with the Trump administration instead of fighting it all the time, to actually get some money to maybe help solve this problem. Because, God forbid we actually work for the people once in a while. It's a frustrating thing. I know it's not your fault, but this is something that I think could have been planned for to begin with. We're spending all the money on the mitigation of the, fixing the tracks and everything else. It's been going on for 3 years. Everyone wants to celebrate this. Why wasn't it done? Why wasn't the process of applying for quiet zones happening all throughout this whole thing as a standard? Because then you have people who have excellent, we have the public transportation, which is phenomenal, and then you have happy people because we have quiet. Everybody wins. It seems to me that is, I don't know, it's like setting up a problem so that we don't solve it. I don't understand it. So also, I get 3 hours a night of quiet. So maybe I'm lucky here. 1 a.m.'s the last train goes by, next one comes at 4:20. So I get 3 hours a night of sleep. For the horns, the train noise, like I said, I'm lucky I live far away from the tracks-ish. Is there a look at the frequency and the passenger frequency on these trains? So that they say, hey, look, 10 o'clock, there's like 5 people on the trains. Maybe we cancel the trips because the noise is not worth the capital ridership. Is that happening, or will that happen soon?
Thank you. I think you heard Ryan say earlier, we always intend on, whether it's a new service or our existing services, we always are reviewing schedules. We're reviewing not only on-time performance and the other things that we thought, like cancellations, but we're looking at ridership, demand, and needs, and certainly we are going to be looking at ridership here. We do want to find a way to balance the need, I believe, for a sufficient, robust service that allows people to use the system. At the same time, we've heard everyone loud and clear about the concerns that you have. I don't want to speak for decisions made when this project was being proposed. I don't want to speak for the things that have been said when there were community meetings in the beginning. What we want to commit to, though, is that we're here tonight because we know that we own this issue right now, and we want to commit that we're going to work with all of you. We're going to look at what we can do short-term that can make benefits, and we're going to also be upfront if something may take a little longer, but things that we want to pursue. But we want to have the ability. We've heard a lot of things that we expected to hear, and we've heard other things, at least from my perspective, that are new but important to hear. And I do think there are a number of things that I've heard that can be addressed more quickly than you think. So I know you want answers tonight, but I don't want to give you a promise that I can't keep. So I really want to have an ability to sit back with the team, go through all this. We will make sure we work, in some cases directly with you, but also we'll make sure Rafaela, Mayor Coogan, and anyone else, Senator Rodriguez, all of those have been advocates and strong proponents of us being transparent and working with everyone, and that's why we're here. We know we were not going to, we knew we were going to hear these types of feedback, but it's important for us to hear directly. The things about being able to have your windows open, the things about being able to have people over, we understand that, and those are things that, we need to hear, because all of us are not here to impact people's lives in the way that you're talking about. We're here to serve the public, and as I mentioned in the beginning, it's not just the people that want to use our trains, but it's the people that are joining us. So I just ask, give us a chance to come back. We will come back, and we will talk all of you openly about what we can do. Again, near term, longer term, and then maybe even beyond that. There are things, and obviously we're working towards electrification of the system, elimination of diesel locomotives, right? The pilot on the Fairmont line is just the beginning, but we also know what those diesel locomotives and how noisy they can be. And we have some ideas and strategies that we want to show that we are serious about that. You asked about the layover spaces. We do get similar concerns about noise and layover, and it is a challenge for the railroad industry. And I'm not going to lie about it. As we deliver more robust service, we do need to look at how do we minimize those other concerns. You know, in my past job, you know, some of the other things, and again, not every community wants it, some of the things that we have to look at longer term is grade crossing eliminations and separations, meaning bridge over, bridge under. Again, it may not fit with the character of a community, but those are the things that I think, you know, as we go forward and as we continue to deliver more robust service, those are the things that we have to start looking at as we put together capital needs and capital priorities. And those are the things that we are thinking now. Again, minimizing noise, improving service, making sure our system's accessible, affordable. You know, these are all things that I wish I had exact answers tonight, but I assure you, there are things that I've heard that I know we can address more near term.
So my name is Jennifer Vincent. I'm a selectman in the town of Berkeley. I had not expected to speak tonight, but I was having such deja vu. I wanted to come up and maybe provide some hope to those that are here. So about a week after these rail lines opened, you know, the town of Berkeley, we had 64 trains coming throughout the day, every half hour. We only have 4 crossings, but Berkeley's small, so the horn would start blowing as soon as it entered Berkeley, and it would keep going until it exited. So we received lots of calls, lots of things on social media. We called a meeting, a public forum, within a week of it opening. And both Ryan and Jean came down. It was very similar to this, similar concerns outside of we don't have a station there, but the noise. And, you know, right there, they made the same comments. That we can't commit to anything tonight, let us go back, let us look at it. And I can tell you that right when they left, I got the phone number, we stayed in contact. Within 6 weeks, like he had mentioned earlier, we had relief from the noise at 2 of our crossings. They stayed in touch with us, they let us know the plan and what's going on next. So I'm here to just tell you that they're here to listen, but there's been a lot of action since, and I think this is the first step, and that they will commit to supporting you moving forward. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Felicia, and I live on 25 Railroad Avenue, this close to the tracks. Okay? The noise is unbelievable. My house shakes. When I open my hutch, if I don't pay attention, my glass falls and breaks. I got some bottles on a shelf, and once in a while I gotta push them back, or else they're gonna fall. My house shakes. We need a wall there. Okay? This shakes so much that the wall there 5 years ago when the track started, it's all cracking. So if that's cracking, what about my house that's been there for 90 to 100 years? They were supposed to come and check my foundation, because my foundation is not blocks like it is now, like the house that they built now. My foundation is made out of rocks and cement, here and there. Well, nobody ever went and checked it out. An engineer was supposed to go there, but they didn't go. I need a wall there, all right?
I am at 266 Brownell Street. The train is literally in my backyard. I know everybody is concerned about the same thing, noise, vibration. I do have a concern that is different, and it's people looking into my backyard. I feel like my privacy is being violated because it's weird to have people, you know, looking at you while you're like in your backyard. I don't let my kid go in the backyard anymore because I feel some kind of way about it. We sent an email requesting any privacy slots or anything. The response we got was something about noise, and I did send a reply again stating that my concern was not the noise. And I haven't heard back. It's been over a month, and I just want to know if something's going to be done for the people that are concerned about that. Do you guys have a plan for that, or?
I do remember your concern did go to the noise program, which is like everything else transitioning right now, which may be why you haven't heard on that. I think you were talking about the slats in the fence. And what I was told, and have not followed up honestly, because we were looking at the noise as an issue, that they don't last, that they're not an effective way of creating that visual barrier that you're looking for. But I think that's another thing to put on the list of things we need to be looking at, right? And I think Felicia, you would at one point had looked for the same kind of thing at your house on Railroad Ave. So I think we have a couple of areas where we need to find another way to do that. The slats, I'm told, just don't last. They break. But there may be something else that we'll look at.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't care what you put there, but I
Yeah.
feel like something.
You don't want people peering in your backyard.
Like
Got it.
privacy.
I understand, and thank you for raising that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is David A. I own a house and live in a house on 174 Bailey Street, which is right after the Family Dollar Plaza. Now, the only problem I have is when it stops there and the engine, the diesel engine faces directly down my street, and I'm probably 25 feet from the tracks. And, I can smell a diesel when it stops there, 17 times a day. I understand they can't do much because it's only like 7 feet from the street. It just has that drop off there. But if they were able to put up a wall or something, because, I'm so close to it, that, my house and then the church, and then when the train stops, it's the engine directly faces right at me. If it was on the other side, I probably wouldn't be here. But because it comes faces right at me, I get the full brunt of it, And anyway, if they could look into it, whatever they could do.
I want to make sure we have, did you sign in?
Yes.
Okay, and your name again was?
David Ayotte.
David Ayotte.
A-Y-O-T-T-E.
Yep. Okay, we need to make a note of that. We'll look into that. No, thank you, I'm glad.
The street only has like 5 houses.
Yeah, it's a tiny street, I remember.
It gets overlooked, and it's like a dead end right to the tracks.
Yep, thank you.
Very much.
Hi, my name's Zach. I live here in Fall River. I am a daily rider. I've been taking the train for 4 years. Can you guys confirm what time this meeting started today?
Started at 5:30.
Okay. So based on, I work in Cambridge. So based on the train schedule, what train do you recommend me to take to get to this meeting for 5:30?
There was a train that arrived at Fall River Depot at 5:23, I believe it was.
Can you confirm that it actually arrived at 5:23 today?
Confirm that.
I think I know you're referring to the high temperatures today. One of the things that we are showing everyone, regardless of the things that we're talking about on time and noise, is safety is going to be first. With the high temperatures, our operator Keolis deemed that because high temperatures cause the rail to expand and potentially have kinks, they had to implement some speed restrictions along that route. I know the same train that you were talking about because I was looking to take that train, and I did not take that train because I knew that train was going to be going through some slow speeds. And arriving here just 10 minutes or 8 minutes before the meeting was going to be a challenge. So
it was 55 minutes late today.
No, I understand that,
So
sir.
were all 4 trains after that. This is rush hour. To be an extra hour late for the 4 trains during rush hour is not acceptable.
I understand. The thing is that we do that because worst case scenario, we're running full speed, there's a kink and there's a derailment, and then we're on safe railroad. Railroads traditionally, and where you have these types of extreme weather swings, have to implement a speed restriction. I know there were announcements made. I know there was advance notice made.
Not on time.
I know it was
The
not
very
on time,
first
sir.
announcement for the 342 train was the 20 to 30 minute late delay.
Well, we could look at the accuracy of the announcement, we could look at the timing of the announcement, but the reason for the delay was because of safety. It was intentionally slowed down, so.
Okay, but the trains are consistently late at all of the rush hour outbound trains every single day since the opening of this new rail.
I think, and because you missed probably the beginning then, Ryan did open up in the beginning that
Missed the
we are looking at the schedule.
Because I took the 3:42 train.
Yep.
And it was 55 minutes.
No, I understand. One of the things we did tell folks is that we are reviewing our schedule, we're reviewing on-time performance. We know the corridor has constraints that we need to fix long-term. Single-track territory is built in areas where if you have trains meeting at the wrong time, someone is held, right? And also single-track territory was explained. If you have an issue with one train, that's a ripple effect of the whole corridor. And it could quickly, as you probably in your writing can see, it's not just 1 minute, it can dramatically, quickly accelerate. So those are the things, as we put together our capital priority needs, if we're going to continue, and we will, robust service to all of the stops along the whole corridor, we need to look at double tracking. We need to look at upgrading, if the case is equipment, signals, all the things that are affecting service today are things that we are going to be looking at with our partners at Keolis to operate. Their feedback to us is important, and then we have to figure out how to put capital investments to address these situations, because the only way we're going to get people to use the system, aside from being robust and frequent, is on time and safe, and those are important things, as well as cleanliness. I heard of that. All of these things is paramount to everyone. I know it because I say it all the time. The system, our stations, are the gateway to our system, but they're the gateway to your communities, and we want you to feel proud about your system. And I know right now you're not feeling that way about it, and we want to regain your trust, and we want to show you through action that we're going to do what we can to address all of these concerns. Again, I don't know how quick they will all be, but I assure you that we will show some action, and we're going to really take all of this to heart.
If your plan was to double track the rail, the extension has been delayed by decades. Why didn't you double track just the extension alone? Double tracking the extension today would have at least minimized my 55-minute delay down to 20 minutes.
I don't know the decisions then, but I do know as I get asked about future expansion, my answer right now is I need to address my existing system. That doesn't mean future expansion in other areas can't be done. It just means I need to balance making sure that people I'm serving today get the level of service they need. And things that you just mentioned, sir, double tracking, where we have single track, Old Colony Line, absolutely is on our to-do list. And I need to be eliminating these types of restrictions because I can't run more robust, more frequent service if I don't start eliminating restrictions. And then, you know, you probably, if you have a chance to see, I would say as we look at electrification, I still need to eliminate those bottlenecks because you can't run more robust service. And then the other part, I think I've heard loud and clear, if we're going to run more robust service, we need to be transparent with the communities because you can't have more trains running if you don't have more space to store trains and maintain trains. So those are the things that as we do more discussions, public feedback, we're going to be engaging with the community much more robustly. That's one of the things that over the course of my 40 years in transportation is how do you make sure that when you're done, not only do we feel good about it, but the people we've delivered it for feel good about it. And that's communication from the beginning through the end. The public is well informed. And again, I don't know about how we made decisions before, but I know going forward, that's what we're instilling in my capital program team from planning through design through construction, constant, regular communication and feedback. And that's, even after construction, the feedback's important because these are all things that we're taking back now, and we're going to look at what we can do here.
Thank you.
Well, do we have a couple more? I'm sorry, okay. And then I think after we have a couple more, we'll be about ready to wrap.
Unless
this
there's
slide-
any new items that we haven't heard, I'd like to
Exactly.
hear those. And if they're similar, give us your addresses and your information, and we'll
Perfect.
make sure we touch base with you, because I want to give everyone an opportunity to speak up.
Are we gonna have another meeting like this?
Yes.
Like in a month or two?
Yes, give us a chance to review, have some ideas, and we will certainly set that up. Raphael, you have a commitment on that, of another meeting.
Yeah, we will be following up for sure, you know.
Sir?
Hello, my name is John Lamberlot, and I live on 1628 Braley Road, actually in New Bedford on the town line of Freetown. My concern is the horn noise. I live right near the grade crossing, the road crossing, and it's very, very loud. It's very disturbing. It's affecting my health, especially at night. There's really only like 3 hours from 1:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the morning, about that time, that there's no horn. And it's just unacceptable. I've lived there for 44 years. It's been a quiet community, and we've got to make it quiet again. It's just unacceptable the way it is right now. It can't go on. I'm concerned if I was to try selling my property, the valuation would probably drop. Who would buy a home where you can't sleep at night? It's crazy. So I've sat down and spoken to my city councilor in New Bedford, Leo Chacat, and it wasn't too reassuring anything would happen of making the area a quiet zone, because he said if it was going to cost any money, that it would be, probably wouldn't happen. He was going to talk to my state Senator Mark McTigney, and but again, if the community was going to have to pay for that, all the upgrades to get those additional arms, my understanding is there has to be additional arms that have to be placed to make it a quiet zone. That the city doesn't have any money for that. So I think there's going to have to be another means to get some revenue for that, to make that happen. So could you tell me what is that process for making these grade crossings quiet zones?
Will this be on the website, this presentation, Gene, on the South Coast Rail website?
It does also a lot of information regarding quiet zones at FRA.gov. There's an entire page on quiet zones. Quiet zone designation really begins with a grade crossing diagnostic. Now you mentioned additional gates. We call those 4-quad gates. There's a gate at every entry and exit point on both lanes. That is not necessarily required. Every crossing is different. So when a diagnostic occurs, they look at traffic flows, traffic volumes, roadway layout, impacts from solar glare, all types of factors, well beyond the railroad specifically. That diagnostic then dictates what supplemental safety measures would have to be installed. In some cases, it's simply a median barrier or lane channelization. All of the grade crossings, as built for the South Coast Rail project, or upgraded because there was active warning systems there before, they are all for as far as meeting regulatory compliance, they are all state-of-the-art. They all consist of 12-inch LED lights, electronic bells, even the lights on the gates that are there are LED to reduce any risk of bulbs going out. They're more visible, they're brighter. But in not every case does it warrant 4-quad gates. So once the diagnostic is complete, from there to establish a quiet zone, it's not between the railroad and the FRA, or the MBTA and the FRA. It has to be between the municipality, the town or city, and the Federal Railroad Administration. There's a lot of decisions that the municipality has to make with regards to ongoing maintenance of those supplemental safety measures, because in a lot of cases, it's far away from the railroad. It could be additional signage on the roadway. Roadway signage, roadway markings are the responsibility of the municipality. There's also a liability discussion too, if there was an incident at a crossing. So there's a lot that goes into designation of a quiet zone.
Okay, thank you for that information. What's a concern also is I have to listen to 3, maybe 4 road crossings. There's the one on Chipaway, there's the one on Dr. Braley Road, there's the one in Industrial Park, and there's one further down. And the horn is so loud that I can hear all 4 of these crossings. They're so close together. And of course, the one on Chipaway Road, I mean, in the night when it's really quiet, it's like my smoke alarm going off. It's that loud, it's waking me up at night. It's just unacceptable.
Is the decibel level of the horn standardized? Are they all the same?
It'll vary slightly, but the FRA does establish minimums and maximums.
I've noticed sometimes the horns are different loudness. I know you said that they aren't, but
Is there a way we can make it so that all the horns are at the minimum?
So as part of a locomotive inspection, that sound level is verified. There's a minimum and a maximum.
But can we just mandate the minimum be certified? Everyone should get the lowest possible.
We don't establish that criteria. That's established by the Federal Railroad Administration. We can't deviate from what the federal reg says.
But I may have misunderstanding you. You said there's a minimum and a maximum.
Correct.
It can't be any lower than a certain decibel level. It can't be higher than a certain decibel. There's a space there. We make sure that they're all meeting, it's just right at the minimum.
So at 140 PSI, it's very difficult for me to tell you that I can make every horn 92 decibels.
But it's automated, Brian? I guess what I'm trying to get at too, is an automated button?
Sequencing is automated. The engineer has the option in a lot of cases to press a sequence button, but that's based on the train going its maximum speed at a certain point and pressing that button. In a lot of cases, due to trains having to meet locations where there's passing sidings, trains aren't always operating at that speed. So in a case like that, the engineer were to activate that horn sequence, that horn's blowing a lot longer and a lot louder than it has to, right? Because if I'm going slower, the law says I have to stop the sound within 20 seconds of meeting and passing over the grade crossing. If I'm going slow and I start to blow where the whistle sign is, which is based on going track speed, I'm making a lot of noise for no reason. So engineers do have a level of discretion about where they can begin if they're going slow. Personally, I've been a locomotive engineer since 18 years old. I've never used that button, because I can do a better job doing it manually. But to be clear, when I say the horn is either on or off, there is no feathering the horn. Like, you can't lightly blow the horn. You're either blowing it or you're not.
Then what are they doing? Because like the lady that left, unfortunately, they do. It's different variants of sound.
It's an electric on-off.
Ryan, I gotta say, at night, sometimes they take it easy on us, and it's very, very short and very, very light. You can hardly even hear it sometimes. Other times, they just lay on it, and it's exceptionally long, it seems. But, so I don't know how.
There's no control.
Yes.
Correct. Now, and to your point, I'm trying not to sidetrack the discussion, but sitting in a locomotive engineer seat at 79 miles an hour, there are a lot of variables, right? For instance, at night, if I'm at a crossing and I can see headlights on both sides of the track where I have a vehicle stopped here and a vehicle stopped here, I feel pretty confident that no one's going to go around the gates. There's a chance that the car could go around that next car. But if I see no headlights, I'm waiting to see headlights. I'm waiting to see a vehicle positively stop, just like when you approach a four-way intersection. I know when I approach a four-way intersection in a motor vehicle, I don't just assume the other driver's doing the right thing. I approach it with some caution. But, in a lot of cases, some locomotive engineers feel more comfortable. They see the traffic stopped. They will still blow a long blast, starting to describe distance. But what you described, that happens across the Commonwealth. We have a lot of locations where it's crossing after crossing after crossing.
All right. Thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate it.
Good evening. My name's Dan Brogan. I'm a public transit specialist with the Circuit MPO. It's a gift to get to be here and truly, sincerely appreciate hearing all of this feedback and wanting to relay this within our region as well to make transit actually work for our neighbors, our community members here. So really appreciate the very important discussion that's happening. But just in the interest of time, one of the organizations that we work with is the Southeast Regional Coordinating Council on Transportation, or CERCOT, where we have community members in this region that express some of the transit obstacles and opportunities within our region. And one of the primary concerns in relation to South Coast Rail that I've been hearing, particularly from folks in Fall River, is concerns with displacement, gentrification. I know this isn't directly with South Coast Rail and the MBTA itself, but just some of the housing cooperation that goes between the state, our municipalities. I'm wondering, given that Fall River has 1 in 5 people that are living below the poverty line, and also part of the Providence Metro, which is the least affordable rental market in the country right now, what are some of the ongoing conversations that are addressing displacement and gentrification within Fall River and the South Coast with the new commuter rail being here?
We haven't had deep discussion on it, frankly. We're watching like everybody else. Typically when you have a transit connection, you see economic development and it's beneficial to everybody. And it doesn't necessarily happen in any prescribed pathway, and it doesn't necessarily happen everywhere, but typically, if I look around the Commonwealth, for example, Lowell, which is not unlike Fall River and New Bedford, it has done extremely well with the rail connection. There may have been some dips initially, but I think overall their downtown's totally revitalized. Their old mill buildings have been repurposed, and their university there has seen enrollments really jump. So I think it's something that I think your organization, I think it's not just on the T to be looking at that, frankly. Yes. It's on all of us to pay close attention, because we do care. We don't want people disenfranchised because we have a train. We want them to benefit from it, right? And that's what TOD is all about, transit-oriented development, to make sure that there are housing options that are near these rail hubs. We've certainly done a lot on this program to support communities that are looking at new zoning. We gave out, I think, $2 million in small grants over many years to make sure that we could plan accordingly so that kind of situation did not arise. All right?
Yeah, thank you for
No, thank you for bringing that up.
Hi, my name is Bree McCarty. I'm from Sonnet. Like Matt, I am really close to 2 of the crossings, and I've taken heart from the fact that the select person here from Berkeley tonight said that you were able to quickly address the noise issue without having to do the studies or anything like that. So I was wondering if you could look into something along that nature for Freetown as well. I mean, I'm right next to the Richmond and Forge crossings. Yeah.
So a couple of things regarding sounding of horns. A public roadway is required under the regulation.
Okay.
Now, in Berkeley, 2 crossings we were able to quickly identify as we should look at these 2 locations. One is a private way, and that was relatively straightforward. The second required the town to come to the table and make a decision to deem a public road now a private road, essentially close that road. But the town was quick to react and quick to work with us, and we were able to come to a happy resolution. But in a case of like Richmond Road,
there's no making that private, yeah. So that was the strategy that worked in Berkeley. It wouldn't work for us.
Not for that crossing.
All right.
I think the example there was no idea is a bad idea, and the ability to have, back and forth to say, what about this, what about that, as well as the suggestions from everyone, right? We'll take feedback, we'll take ideas, we have some of our own, and then a willingness to work together. And we're here because we want to work with all of you, and we want to come back, and we will come back with our thoughts. And in some cases, I think we're going to have some individual conversations before this, because I think that's also important. So yes, even though those are certain situations, as Ryan mentioned, it doesn't mean, we are not going to keep an open mind to thinking how can we address some of these things sooner, and show you that we are sincere about trying to solve this, and not have you continue to go through what you're going through.
For sure, you can definitely, now that you've explained the difference between the manual and the automatic horns, you can for sure hear it. I can remember the differences in the horns, and the manual is definitely preferable to the automatic, just from my personal experience, but thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll take 1 or 2 more, assuming they're new topics. We really do appreciate everyone giving us their feedback on what has been bothering them, and even a couple of things that weren't so bad. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. My name is Bonnie D'Souza. I'm from Mattapoisett. I'm nowhere near the radio. I mean, the radio.
No.
I have heard it. Yes, I have. 10 miles away. That was only once. I'm actually here to sort of piggyback on the discussion of development, improved quality of life. I'm glad I came. I had no idea how the people in Fall River who live near the train are suffering. I'm really glad that I heard it. I'm a bicycle advocate. I came here for bicycles, and the first thing that I wanted to do was thank you for accommodating bicycles on the train. I think they're really important. And then one of the things that I'm hoping, and this is a tiny hope, and I think it belongs at the bottom of your priority list based on what I've heard, I would love to see bicycle traffic coming from Boston to the South Coast as a long weekend activity where someone, maybe they go to Providence, maybe they come to Fall River or Taunton, they get on their bike and they show up in Wareham or in New Bedford, they make a day of it, they make a weekend of it, and for those people who want to do something like that, I think it would be wonderful. And I hope that you can solve these problems here, and that there's some tiny little office somewhere where they'll make a note about trying to advertise South Coast for its quality of life, and that we really care about it and we want it.
Is Bonnie, is your name Bonnie?
Yes.
Well, thank you for that. I know Mattapoisett has a nice bike trail, but they took years getting built.
And we have our parking problems.
I understand, but I do want to say, remember, MassDOT has complete streets, so everything we're doing, we're looking at incorporating bicycles and pedestrians into every mode, and we want mode shift. So if we get somebody on a train down to New Bedford who gets on a bike and enjoys the trails to Mattapoisett and back, we're building awareness of what we have for amenities, beauty, and culture, and we're getting people healthy. So thank you for that.
Hi, my name is Bob. I live in Berkeley. There's been a lot of procedural and technical answers about the quiet zones. Could you just give me a simple, straight answer? Is there any realistic chance of the quiet zones being established anytime soon?
Yeah, I mean, as I described, the crossing diagnostic typically takes about 6 weeks. From that, it's going to be reviewed, supplemental safety measures get developed, and then ultimately, if there's, say, heavy construction that has to happen, that takes time. There's no solution that'll be available tomorrow, but all across the Commonwealth, communities have had great success with obtaining quiet zones. And again, that's between the community and the Federal Railroad Administration.
Does the FRA pay for the study, or does the individual town pay?
The municipality is responsible.
So you basically have to get money for it upfront.
Hi, my name is Carmen. I live on 48 Army Street. I was part of the program from the very beginning, and some of my windows, I selected the windows. I have some trees in the backyard. I have central air. I selected the windows. However, the budget was set up to be at 30,000. I have windows. And the ones downstairs, 8 of the windows, I have to contribute for them to put the 8 windows downstairs. However, now that the train is going in normal schedule, it's very noisy on the bedrooms upstairs. At least 2 of them. One is more to the front, the other 2 are more to the railroad. And it's very noisy. So I would like for you to consider and to have those 4 windows replaced on there.
The windows that were replaced were the track-facing windows?
Yeah, the downstairs.
Just downstairs?
Just downstairs.
Yes, living area, right? Yeah.
Well, right, because that's where we are during the day, which is fine, and it works fine, and I appreciate it. However, the bedrooms now, it's just terrible.
And you got no new windows up that
None
level?
of the windows upstairs.
If you could leave us your information on the sign-in sheet with a window question mark next to it, that'd be super, and we can see if we can circle back on that. There was very clear criteria that they were following. There was track facing, it was living areas, so they weren't doing bathrooms, they weren't doing things like that, but I mean, maybe situations can be unique, right?
Right. And my downstairs is kind of lower than the railroad.
Gotcha.
So the downstairs, those windows are perfect.
Well, that's the good part.
Yes. However, the upstairs,
the bedrooms.
none of the windows were supposed to be more, but at least those 2 bedrooms, they need to have one.
Okay, just make sure we have your information. You're Almy Street, right?
Yes.
You're right on the tracks, I know right where you are.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Very
Are we
much.
about to wrap up? I really am grateful if I see people drifting. I have one more. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Ron Cludier. I'm from Astonit. My property abuts the railroad at High Street. And I was just wondering, when you came to Freetown 2 years ago, you presented the circuit report, the report on the railroad study. And one of the things I brought up then was based on the sound studies that was performed. And those sound studies were based on data from 2013.
Yeah.
Right. So are there going to be new sound studies being taken now to give us more accurate information for folks to apply for soundproofing?
And you're on High near the tracks. Were you eligible for the program? I can't remember.
No, I did not qualify because I was probably about 200 feet away from the tracks.
Too far from, okay, yeah, there definitely was a delineation. It was topography, it was miles or feet from the track. There were a number of things in that, the whole analysis, which is an FTA nationally recognized analysis. But you're right, it was done back in the day before we made the final decision to go construction of phase 1. So I don't know at this time if there is any plan to conduct any additional analysis, but we can certainly ask.
Yeah, share your information, your address.
Yeah, you too. Put
and-
noise next to it.
And let us know specifically, so we can take all of
Yeah,
this
we'll
into
look at it.
consideration. Okay?
And one other thing too, at the crossway, a couple weeks ago, the arms came down, the red lights are flashing, but there was no train coming. And so the crossing malfunctioned, and it was like that for 3 hours. And it basically blocked traffic from going across the way, but then people got fed up, and then they started driving through and around that. So you do see that. So I know that crossing had problems in the very beginning when you guys were updating it to make it to code. So.
Yeah, I remember that too. That's a great place to use that blue sign. If you're sitting at that crossing and nothing's happening, that number on the blue sign would be the first course of action. And I apologize for that. I mean, every once in a while, I guess that does happen. I'd rather have it malfunction with the gates down than have any other situation. So you said it was flashing and the gates were down.
Yeah, and there was no train coming for a long time.
That's good to know. And again, that ENS sign is probably a great way to go with that, but thank you for the information.
And sir, you mentioned that they're going to electrify the train eventually. What time frame are you looking at that? What fiscal year are we talking about?
Well, I'll say the battery electric multiple units that we are now in procurement process for the Fairmont line. I know that's not this corridor, that is 2028 we're looking to have that 10-mile stretch fully electrified. The technology that once we get those units, we're gonna check and test on other lines. The reason behind that strategy is it allowed us to electrify even though we didn't have the dollars that you would do to electrify full 10 miles. Battery electric means you could have discontinuous catenary. So success of this allows us to continue to look. Having said that, there's a lot of other new technology out there we're exploring right now that we want to challenge ourselves to figure out how to bring things that we've been talking about for far too long into today or in the near future. I don't have a timeline for you, But I assure you that we are really working very hard on coming up with some solutions to actually start making these things a reality. It's not just going to be those 10 miles there. We really are going to start working on corridor by corridor, eliminating bottlenecks and challenges, but also how do we make the system what you all deserve. It should be best-in-class system. It should be, again, I just can't give you a timeline this minute, but I can tell you we are thinking very hard about this, and we do hope to be able to show even more progress in Fairmont Lane.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you for coming down here to talk to us today.
Thank you.
So,
Can I just say something really quick?
yeah, could you use the mic so everybody can
I
hear
don't
you?
face our constituents because.
Come on up.
First, no, I just want to say.
Well, could you use the mic, Carol,
Can you
just
hear me?
so they can?
Can you hear me? Prefer me to use the mic?
Yeah, I
I
think so.
just wanted to, first, I will thank you for coming down here. You listened, you came down, you'll be back again, and I know the hard work's going to begin based on the feedback that you heard tonight. It's not all new, as Phil said, but you're going to work on it. And I couldn't, and to you all, and to Abdullah and your crew over here from Keolis, you are instrumental partners in this as well, and I know together, MBTA and Keolis will work to short-term, the things you know you can put into place, and longer-term work on those solutions. And you know I'll be around, so don't worry. To everyone here, I couldn't be prouder to represent people like you, myself, Representative Willett, on behalf of Senator Rodericks, who could not be here tonight. We couldn't be prouder. You're doing what you're supposed to do, take action, and it's frustrating, and you've been frustrated for a while, and many of you we've been talking to for a while, and this is a result of that. And so I couldn't be prouder of the way you handled this meeting, because you live with very real frustrations, and you're here tonight doing exactly what you should do. So there's strength and unity in numbers. You're doing that tonight. Talk about, we are in the legislature, myself, Representative Willett here, Senator Rodericks, of course, Ways and Means Chair. We're providing MBTA with a lot of money, more money. We know they need the money to get things done. It's expensive. And this is public transportation. Somebody mentioned they're making a lot of money. They make a salary. There's no profits there. This is public transportation to help you and everyone who wants to go to Boston, come to Fall River, and get where you want to go. Lastly, someone mentioned, is there some quality of life? The woman from Mattapoisett on bikes. Right now, there are people working very hard to entice people to come and enjoy the quality of life we have here for the day. Bring your bike, come to our restaurants, our waterfront, and of course, you know, we have one of the largest transformational projects in this region ever, with Route 79, and you've all handled those disruptions beautifully. And we are going to have a neighborhood waterfront with bike trails and activities, and so all of this fits together. And so we are all partners in this together. And Ryan, Jean, I know you're not going away, you're right next door in Sonnet. GM Eng, thank you, and to Keolis and all the team. We are grateful, and thank you for coming out tonight. We're going to work on this. And
Thank you, Rafaela. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, who took the time to come out tonight and share with us. We truly appreciate it. We know you have other things you could be doing, but this was important to us. So thanks again, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.